Welcome back, everybody, to the Aaron's High Cap Adventure Radio program. I'm getting a lot of flack
All right.
in the studio here. Getting a lot of flack, but it's all right. I can handle it. I'm here now in our license to carry attorney segment, and to the left here is attorney extraordinaire Benton Ross Watson. Ross, how's it going, buddy?
Man, glad to be here.
Sure you are. This segment's brought to you by Coppolino Dodd Krebs Law Firm, and we can't thank them enough. And we get the special privilege of having you here most of the time. And you know, I was contacting you via text all week today, and we're going back and forth. What do you want to talk about? I'm like, I'm not really sure what I want to talk about. And before you knew it, it came Friday. We never came up with a decision. And then I said, screw it. We're just going to ad-lib it. We're going to see what comes up. And I just happened to notice and read this article in the newspaper on Friday, and I happened to make the news.
He just happened to notice he was.
I just happened to notice.
Just happened.
No, I got the call, but I didn't even think about looking at the paper. And I go, oh, wait a minute, I forgot. So I was looking at the Friday paper at the bottom article there by Mariel Williams. Local schools have security plans to prevent tragedies. And, of course, we all know about the shooting.
The nationally famous gun expert, Matt Betros.
Yeah, right. Okay, and then we have a scare in Cameron. Right, Trey? We're going to talk about that. So I figured we'll just go in circles like that. And if you want to give us a call here at 254-697-6633 and give us what you think might be the answer. And don't even tell me gun control. Well, you can. I may not keep you on the phone long, but we'll see. Anyway, what's going on, Ross? What do you got?
No, I guess I had sent you some a whole lot of topics, which apparently
It didn't make the grade.
which apparently was just kind of overlooked. But anyway, but I think there's a couple of major things I wanted to point out that really doesn't have anything to do with any kind of regulation or gun control. It's just again, I wish we'd have had this come up during our media discussion. I think it was 2 weeks ago. But there's kind of like a bunch of the media outlets are saying that there's been 18 or 19 mass shootings in 2018. A couple of media outlets are saying there's been 18 school shootings, right, in 2018. And
Well, heck, man, 2018 is only, what, a month and a half?
yeah, a month and a half. And so it's just like you think, golly, have everybody thinking, wow. So you go and do a little bit of research on these 18 that they're talking about, and you know, there's been 2 mass shootings. Well, it's not very good. It's completely dishonest. Like it's absolutely lies.
And
It's absolutely like false. Like there's been other shootings at school, and so I guess technically, the headline is not false, but the implication plus how they present it is absolutely dishonest.
Let's be clear about this. Let's be clear about it.
I don't care. I mean, there's been other liberal news outlets say, look, saying that there's been 18 is not honest. Like this is not accurately reporting the news. This is not ethical from a news standpoint. So no, as an attorney, right, that disagrees with them anyway and doesn't hold their political right affiliations, I don't have any qualm about saying it's lies. It's not fair. It's dishonest in the way it's being presented. But there has been some concerning incidents. I think probably half a dozen. I mean, there has been some stuff, but that's why I sent you some other topics and that deal with violence in general, right? And so, but let me point out, there's like two of the incidents that are reporting to be school shootings, right, were legitimate training. They just was an accident that happened in the training and the use of firearms at the school, like colleges.
That's what I'm saying. Mariel, the woman who called me up, Mariel Williams, who called me up about this news report, she asked me a question. I said, look, and I got no problem with the story. She did a pretty good job. But I said to her, look, there's a lot of ignorant people out there, and they're persuaded very easily by those in control. And the ones who are in control are the ones who have the media, who are able to put out a narrative all the time, all different stations, all different mediums of news. And like you're saying, 18 mass shootings. No, it hasn't been the case. But you got these ignorant people who don't pay attention except to a headline or a bullet point, and they get ingrained in their head.
Yeah, if it says mass shooting, it's an absolute lie.
And that's the truth. And all of a sudden, their thought processes and their decisions are made based on that instead of the truth. So that's where you're coming from.
But yeah, and again, like they present it in such a way that people, think they're talking about a mass shooting.
That's right.
It's like that. That's not at all what it was. And so you're talking about, like I said, 2 were training incidents. Like there was a legitimate training class at a junior college or college to use a gun, and a person didn't know what they were doing, picked it up wrong and fired it. One thought it was a fake gun, and it was a real gun, and it went off. I mean, it's training. It's like it has nothing to do with like an illegal use of a weapon or anything like that.
Who was doing the training? I mean, who was instructing the training?
If you'd have read the topic, then I guess you'd have been able to tell us. So if there was some others in there, like two incidents were with BB guns. Like a 32-year-old man shot at a school bus or something.
Yeah, but
with
you
his
know you
BB
can
gun.
put 20 BBs in a rifle now, so that's a mass destruction weapon there.
I guess, but and then a couple was like a gun fell out of a bag, a kid's bag. I mean, I don't. Yeah, I agree that he didn't need to have that at school if he's some. We're talking like not junior college. We're talking grade school, right? So and the kid doesn't obviously know what he's doing, and he's got this big, probably I don't know 40 cal in his bag, and it falls out of his bag. He doesn't know what to do.
Let's flip this around, Ross. Let's flip this around. We're talking about the individual who does it, and what causes that problem. What causes that problem, and you can go backwards and see all the different things that can cause a problem. You got bad upbringing, you got breakup with the family, you got agendas of people who want to push things and will do anything they can. You've got plants, people in organizations who literally do this from time to time. That's make plans to have a
you
story
got the
happen.
breakdown of the family nucleus, like I've been trying to say.
You got all these things.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
instead of us always talking about the nutcase, which this kid is, this Cruz kid, let's talk about it. Because in the story here, I'll tell you what, I'm going to read the story. Let's take the story and break it down because there's a couple things.
Can I say something? I was trying. Okay, like, which was again some of the other things that I sent. It was like a lot of the statistics that are being shown say that America's not any more violent than any of these other countries. America's not any more aggressive. Doesn't have any more problems. They just have more gun deaths, and so that just begs the question: bad people are going to do bad things with whatever tool they can use to do.
That's right. Doesn't matter.
And so it doesn't.
They have a machete, they're going to machete you. Look at Rwanda.
If there was a
They have
gun,
they're going to shoot you.
of course there's going to be more gun deaths and more gun issues if America has 40 or 50% of all of the world's guns. Like, that's obvious. If one country doesn't have any guns and another country has all the guns, then obviously there's going to be more gun deaths in this country than there is with the country that doesn't have any guns. But when you look at both countries, and they have the same amount of deaths.
There you go. Thank you.
I was thinking, like, how does this help your argument?
Exactly.
It's saying like London and all these places, they have the same. He didn't help his case. Like, I don't know why he put that in there, but he said they have the same amount of violence or more, right? But
And they have less guns, and we got more, and it's the same amount.
and so I'm just thinking, like, that doesn't help you.
All right.
That hurts your argument because you're just saying that they're going to use whatever tool they can to be violent, and that yes, America uses their guns as their tools, but that does not mean that it would not have happened, if there was gun control.
Okay,
So
keeping in mind what you just said,
I mean,
I'm going to read this article. Trey has a situation we had here at the camera school. We're going to talk about that too, okay? And we're going to pull it all together, and we'll just see what comes up. And let me read this because there's some points in here in this article that you just brought up it'll back it up, okay? This is from Mariel Williams from the Telegram. Local schools have security plans to prevent tragedies. Local schools have systems in place to prevent tragedies like the mass shooting in Florida Wednesday. In Temple Independent School District, officials seek input from the Temple Police Department, the Region 12 Education Service Center, and the Texas School Safety Center. Temple ISD follows the safety procedures put in place by our school resources officers through the Temple Police Department. Procedures are rehearsed several times each semester and are updated continually. He said that the doors on the campus are locked and all visitors enter the campus through one door. Similar security measures are in place on Benton Independent School District campuses. The presence of local law enforcement officers, security guards, surveillance cameras, safety vestibules, campus visitor policies, and other threat assessment procedures are in place to deter and respond in the case of an active shooter. Lockdown drills occur at all campuses at least twice during the school year. I'm flipping the page to go to the next part of the article, and it says your Belton ISD works with both the Belton and Temple Police Departments to keep security procedures updated, as well as the Bell County Sheriff's Department and the Texas School Safety Center. Now, to ensure students and staff are prepared for a real event, the hard lockdown drills must be simulated as real as possible so there's no forewarning of it coming. Following the shooting in Parkland, Florida on Wednesday, there were a number of calls for increased gun control, while gun right advocates suggested that schools would be safer if teachers were allowed to carry weapons. Now, I'm going to be quoting you some things that I said. They're not all complete quotes, so I'll fill in the blanks. Matt Petros, moi, that's me, okay, who owns Aaron's Gun Shop in Cameron, agrees with the Second Amendment argument. It's quite obvious that guns not being in the school allowed this to happen. There's a hell of a lot more reasons why, too. But if you had guns to counter guns, you might be a little bit better off. Because I guarantee you, if you're in a gunfight and one person's got a gun and you don't have it, you're going to lose. Chris Rosenberg, the chair of the Bell County Democrats, suggested that it would be a better approach to ban the sale of some type of weapons. Well, it figures. When you look at the majority of the mass shootings, and here we go, the majority of the mass shootings, and 5 of the 10 deadliest had happened in the past 3 years, they all have something in common, and that's the AR-15, Rosenberg said. We've got to figure out very quickly that hundreds of people can be affected by these weapons, as they were in Las Vegas, and we need to ban these weapons. No, we do not. We need to come up with a different plan. There are a number of things we can do, Rosenberg said. We can make sure that the folks who are mentally ill cannot access these weapons. Well, no kidding. Okay, but how do you figure that out? Maybe we can talk to Ross in a second about that. Now, here I come again. The truth of the matter is, if you would be educated and understand that guns will always be there, violence will always be there, and the criminal will never listen to a new law, you must enable people to defend themselves. And those people must be responsible and take and do the necessary training so they're not just sitting there with a gun. It goes both ways. Rosenberg said that it's important to take some kind of legislative action to combat the gun violence. Not doing anything isn't an option. And that's what our Republican Congress has gotten us to. Whatever. Here's what you need to do. First thing you need to do is family upbringing. Okay?
Yeah.
The family unit needs to be put back together, and mom and dad need to jack up Junior if he starts thinking stupid. Train him in the right ways to go. That has been lost in the majority of this country. Once again, I am quoted. Petros emphasized the need for those permitted to carry a gun to be trained to use it safely, and said the public does not have enough accurate information about guns. It is the ignorance of people that is getting people killed. Petros said, that's right, I said it, and I said a lot more. If you're going to keep whining and peeing your pants because somebody's got a gun and shooting somebody up, well, do something about it. If you want to do something politically, go ahead. I can't stop you, and I would never stop you, but I'm going to go right back and reverse and say what you're doing is not the right way to do it. Get aware, get trained, get prepared. The guns are never going away. Violence is never going away. You better train yourself, you better mentally get prepared and combat it when it happens and knock it flat before it causes any problem. If you had some people in those schools who were trained and had guns, I'm reading this, listen to this headline. It goes, gunmen had extra ammo at school, fired for 3 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, I've got at least 20 people off the top of my head, I can tell you their names, who could take this person out in seconds, because they go to my shop, they train, they do round robins, they're excellent with their weapons because they apply it, they practice it, and they could take somebody down in a heartbeat. That's what you need to do, and it doesn't take that much to do. So stop your whining, stop your crying, oh, I almost did it. Saved myself. We were talking about bad word slips.
You gotta stop working out so much. Like, veins starting to come out your neck over here like Arnold.
All right, I pause. Go ahead.
Arterial spray.
Trey, tell us what happened in Cameron, and then we'll put all this stuff together. I'm fired up, man. You people are pissing and moaning about not being able to do something. Get a gun, train it, and protect yourself.
All I have is unsubstantiated rumor. Now, we had several students, their parents pulled them from the school yesterday because of these rumors. There was the rumor is there was some kind of threat against one of the schools. I'm going to tell you, as an employee of the school district, we have processes in place, protocols in place to deal with fire drills. Everybody remembers the fire drills. Growing up, you hear the bell ring, you got to go and meet out in the playground or wherever.
Cruz was well aware of that too, and he took advantage of it.
You remember your tornado drills? We do have intruder drills, and we do practice them, and fairly regularly. It's more than twice a year. We have one entrance that's monitored for the public, for parents to come through, and it's a double door. You have a door, and you have another door, so there's an entryway, and it's videoed. So the schools are secure as we can make them with the resources we have.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
If I was in your classroom when you were teaching and I was armed, would you be less fearful if there was a shooter with a gun?
If you were in my classroom,
Mm-hmm.
well, my classroom is a gym, and we really don't want kids with
You
guns.
get the point,
Yeah.
Trey. Somebody who's trained in it, and somebody comes in. Yeah, I can't stop the initial. I can't stop the initial onslaught. But I can
Personally,
minimize it.
speaking as a parent, because I do have children in the school district, I would want to know that there were trained personnel who were armed in the event that something like this happened.
And I'm not talking a stupid license to carry class. If you go to a license to carry class, thinking that's going to train you, you got another thing coming.
I would want someone who knows, because it's more than just I can carry my gun now. I mean, you've got to know not just when to use it, but when not to use it. There's
Well, not only when to use it, but when to use it and how to use it, and when not to use it. That's right.
But that's speaking as a parent.
And that's a lot of time.
I would
Ross,
feel-
what we're talking about is when not to use it through the laws and understanding
Right.
procedures and process. Go ahead.
As a parent, I would feel more comfortable that way. But the reality is what we have right now. So
I mean, again, you don't like my answers. I mean, I don't, because I don't really have a good solution to any of the problems. Because I this sounds good, but you're gonna have 98% of the schools nothing happen, and this guy's sitting there for years, and nothing happened. I think that it's gonna be hard for even somebody like you to be diligent every single day, right? Plus, you're gonna have schools that are too big for one person to cover. Even in Cameron, if he's in the gym, he's not going to be over there on the West
Nope.
Campus.
I totally agree with that. I cannot argue that.
So I mean, there's problems there, and then you don't have enough tax dollars to pay maybe one.
I made a comment though, and I
Sure
said,
can't pay more than.
I'm 54 years old, and for 50 years I've been training, and thank goodness nothing's ever happened. But I stay diligent. That's the way everybody's got to be.
Again, you just get into these logistical, administrative, public policy, realistic, practical complications, and then at the same time, I don't agree that gun control is the answer. I don't know why you assume that's because I have no good answer that's what I'm saying, but that's not at all what I'm saying, because I sent you other topics showing that just as many deaths to students at schools happen with ropes. Ropes. Okay, there's actually been kids hanging themselves with ropes at the school, right? Several times this year already, right? There's been suicides. There's been kids murder other kids at school with knives. It's not a gun problem, right? It's a people problem. It is. There are issues. So I mean, yes, there have been other school shootings as far as like gangs shooting each other in the parking lot. I think there was one concern. It was actually in Texas, and in Italy, a kid pulled out a firearm in the cafeteria and shot another girl. Okay, and so, but would that have happened? It wasn't a mass shooting. I think it was something personal between those two, right? And so, it's just like the other case that was a big news in like December of 17 when a young kid, they thought it was a suicide. He hung himself at the school, but it is now being investigated as a murder. Okay, and it was between his girlfriend and another guy. I mean, this is at school. These things are happening at school. I mean, these are kids 15, 16, 17 years old, sometimes younger than that. I mean,
Let me make a clarification.
how are you gonna? I mean, how are you? What are you supposed to like this?
I want to make a clarification. When I'm talking to somebody, I want what they believe and feel. So if I ask a question to somebody in general, and they go, "Well, I don't know," I get a little fired up for one reason. Do you not have the balls to state your mind and opinion, or are you too worried about the flack you're going to get from the other side? I would think I want to say that. Hold on. This is what politicians do. It pisses me off. Okay, state your true belief. Don't get the vote because you know that's what they want. Speak the truth, and I'll vote for you. You lie to me. You lie to me because you want to vote. Man, I'm going to spread the word. Speaking of which, I'm not going to say who they are. They're not old by any means, but some people in politics refuse to shake certain people's hands. They'll come up. A friend of mine comes up to somebody. I know the person isn't old. Okay. and goes to shake and just looks at them and walks off. I'm thinking, what the hell, man? You're not going to shake my hand? Screw you. But anyway, that was a sidebar. That was something under my hat that I had to get off my chest.
There's a third option. The people who don't put forth opinions because they feel underinformed and they don't want to put forth an opinion.
Well, that's
until they're
different.
sure.
They can say, I'm not informed in that topic. I cannot give you a good example. My initial reaction would be this. But don't give me this political correctness crap because you're afraid of what the opposition is going to say to you. That shows me you have nothing down below. You got no onions. Go ahead.
So at least I have onions.
You got onions, buddy.
Don't make me cry.
And then you have a problem too. You say, well, you lock down the school, and like you were pointing out, resources again. In some schools, that's going to be very difficult to like fully lock down the school. Like that means a whole lot more than what people understand. I mean, even logistically, sometimes when you're talking about teenagers, I mean, it's just like if a teenager wants to get out the house at 3 a.m, I always think this is funny. Hold on, we'll be in juvenile court. And the judge will always ask these people, and I probably offending somebody, but I'm straight. You know, what else is new? Like Rick said, there's always going to be at least one other side that's offended, right? So the judge is always asking them. The judge is always asking the parent, you know, to get them out of jail, because sure they want their kid out of jail, you know, to get out of detention. Can you control this kid? Can you make sure they do this? Can you make sure they do that? Can you make sure they? Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. No, you can't. No, you can't. If that kid wants to get out the house, that kid's getting out the house.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
I mean, you cannot. Now we understand parents have influence over, you know, kids, but the truth is that they really don't want to listen to you, and they're going to do what they're going to do. They're going to do what they're going to do.
You know, a bad person. I've done plenty of training. I'm a friend of mine, Mark. You know, we do all this kind of training, and this is nothing new. This is not some great concept idea. You think like the enemy, okay? When 911 happened and it was going on, I instantly went into attack mode and said, okay, if I was going to do it, what's the next thing I was going to go for, okay? And sure enough, they were doing it. So I'm reading this article and I'm looking at it, and they're telling people in the news where their weaknesses are. So if you're a guy who's a nutcase, and I didn't want to say it, I'm not going to say it, you'll have to find it yourself, but if you're a nutcase and you want to take it down, you study the place out, you check it out, you look for weaknesses, so no matter what your plan in place is, there's always going to be a loophole. So you're right. You're absolutely right. There's no way to completely stop it, but you can help to minimize it.
I mean, if you look at, you know, I teach at the smallest elementary school, and that's a closed campus. I mean, the kids have no reason to leave the building except for recess, and that's a closed area. But then you have, like, the high school. Well,
Yeah.
You can't have ag in the high school. You have separate buildings for it.
Yeah, and that's more what
You got the field house. I mean, there's just, you can't always keep it closed. You just can't. Short of, hey, well, we're not going to do ag anymore. Can you imagine Cameron, Texas without ag classes?
No.
Or without athletics? That's not going to happen.
So what's the answer? The answer is put more guns on location with trained people.
Education. Education's always the answer.
A book isn't going to stop a guy with a
If
rifle.
you can get educated with guns,
Okay,
dude.
just
come
clarifying,
on.
Trey. Just clarifying. All right, well, it's getting hot in here, man. And I'm not talking about the temperature. Heated discussion. The number is 254-697-6633. Look, we got about, 3-4 minutes left? What else you got?
2.5.
Ross? Anything? Trey? I don't know, man. Just training is the way to go. Because we live in this society. I'll tell you what, this hasn't happened. The calamity in this country didn't start getting this bad until 2008. And I'll leave it at that. You figure out what came into place.
I don't think you know.
And I'm not saying anything other than the borders were wide open, and we got all sorts of nutcases in here now.
I'm definitely not against having teachers if they want pistols or some kind of protection in their classroom. I'm definitely not in the camp that is trying to restrict that right. I think that trying to put a duty on teachers though to defend is incorrect as well. It's not their job to defend. I don't think that there should be any idea that there may be a negligence case or something come up if a school denied teachers the right to defend themselves or something like that. It doesn't really matter because I don't think teachers have a duty, right, to jump into the heart of battle, right? And,
I agree with you 100%, but they should have the ability to do it if they want to.
Yeah, I agree that if they want to have weapons. I think that I'm definitely not in the camp that is trying to prohibit or restrict that right.
Because man, you got
There's
some people.
no
You got some
stated
people who
duty,
teach.
but just from the women I work with, the teachers I work with, most of them would assume that duty just because they put that much of themselves into.
Oh, I
their
got it.
kids.
I totally get that. I'm speaking from a legal standpoint. Like I don't think you can put that duty on a teacher. It's not part of their job. And I think, too, what I was talking about with the lockdown, I think you have another issue that you take away from the free spirit of the learning environment. You take it from an open-minded, location to standing military, which is exactly what this country is against. Okay, we don't want standing military. We don't want a police state. We don't want a totalitarianistic type of environment. We want open and free, liberal atmosphere to.
So
Which
schools-
You
which
be
brings up
routine
the-
to a point.
But that brings up the case where they say you can't have guns here, they can't have guns there. You're locking it down, just like you said, because people are locking it down. Politicians are locking it down. Whoever's locking it down, you can't take guns here. You can't take guns here because it's so dangerous. And so what you do is you get a group of people who are unarmed, subject to a nutcase with a gun, mass shooting. It's like what was the expression? It's a mosquito in a nudist colony. The bad guy doesn't know where to bite
Man,
first.
we got it in there.
All right, we'll be back on the other side. Good
Hey,
break.
thank you guys. Thank you, Rick. See you.
Are we still